Hi everyone, I'm Ben, and this is the Board Game Blueprint. This week we're going to talk a little bit about icons and how they're used in games. Now, I'm no icontologist, but I'd like to think that I'm a little familiar with how these things work. So to kind of give a working definition, I would say that an icon is a symbol or some kind of representation of something else that has a little bit deeper meaning than simply what it looks like. So in a lot of games we'll have currency, some kind of money, and they'll often use dollar signs or coins as icons to represent that, to communicate to players what it is trying to exemplify, I suppose. So we'll kind of show a couple examples at Table Next Door of some classic games that really got me interested into the hobby, some of the first ones that I picked up for myself. So let's jump right on in and see what we can learn and what we can talk about. What kind of board game can better capture a young child's imagination than one with giant monsters fighting each other? At least that's how it was for me. And King of Tokyo is just that, where players are these kaiju, or giant monsters, rampaging around the city and trying to knock each other out or prove themselves as the biggest bads there ever were. In King of Tokyo, you have 6 dice that you will roll every turn, up to 3 times each, so in a Yahtzee style, where you are trying to gain victory points in a race to get 20 first, or to knock out all opposing monsters by rolling attacks on your dice. So let's go take a look at them really quick. On the left, we have different numbers, and those correspond to the victory points, the stars that we had seen on those player dials. So in King of Tokyo, you need 3 of a kind to actually score that many stars, but there are also other more representative icons as well. Hearts are for healing. Lightning bolts are for energy, to buy upgrade cards, and then of course there are the claws, which are the direct attacks against the other monsters. So to kind of illustrate, you'll roll the dice, you'll keep which ones you want to keep, and you can re-roll the rest. So I'm going to go ahead and keep these 4 dice, and let's roll these 2. I got a 3 and a lightning bolt. So if I keep the lightning bolt, I'll get a cube that I can then use to buy an upgrade card. I can try to roll this 3 again to go for 2s, and I don't need healing at this time. So you know what, let's just roll all of it. Because my monster is in the middle, is in Tokyo, he's going to attack all the other monsters in the game. But if the monsters that are attacking from the outside score any claws, they all will be targeting the King of Tokyo. So as we can see, the claws worked out all right. But unfortunately, no points are scored, and it should be noted that anytime you are in Tokyo, the hearts are worth nothing. So let's pretend that we got an energy cube, and we can pull up some of these cards here. Now, these have a matching icon to the die, which is very nice, so hopefully people can make that connection right away. And we also have a couple different aspects to the cards. So all of these actually turn out to be keep cards, which means that you can hold on to them for the duration of the game, for the rest of the game. But we'll also see, as we get a little bit closer here, stars, which are the victory points, hearts, which is the health, and again, the lightning bolts, which are the energy points that you can use to purchase more of these. So you can kind of get a little bit of engine building in a sense, at least in that you can get stronger and stronger monsters throughout the game. You can upgrade yourselves, and other icons as well correspond to different die faces where the effects can occur. I think King of Tokyo does a really good job of introducing a bunch of different mechanics to younger audiences, maybe for one of their first games that they've ever picked up. And of course, it's a lot of fun to be able to target your older brothers or sisters, mom or dad, as you're playing along. I mentioned engine building with King of Tokyo, but I think in Evolution it's even more prevalent with their multi-use cards. So to kind of give a lowdown, each player is, I suppose, acting as a different species on Earth, or some kind of variant thereof, where the player who can eat the most food by the end of the game is the winner. They'll collect these tokens, as you can see in the watering hole, based on the different cards that they have available to them, different traits that they have evolved throughout time. So every player will have a hand of cards, and the beginning of the round will play one for the food value at the bottom right corner to then put into the public supply. If I remember the game correctly, your player area should look a little something like this, where each species, as designated by a board, has a population as to how much food it can eat, a body size, which can help deter predators from attacking it, and of course the trait cards that we've seen. Now that they're played on different species, their effects will take place, and evolution kind of has a bit of an initiative system when looking at the cards with sort of this grass or greenery border. So any player that has a card like this will be able to dine from the watering hole first, thusly. But we should also mention the arrows here. So actually the different species can coexist together. And for instance, this middle species, the one that had just eaten, has a warning call which protects the other two adjacent to it. So we kind of have all these different ways that the cards interact with each other, the species of animals and beasts, and that can really change, again, sort of the starvation race to eat as much food as possible first. Admittedly, Evolution maybe wasn't the best game to show off iconography, but a really awesome one for 2 players is Star Realms, a spacefaring deck-building battle game in which you are trying to take down your opponent by destroying all of their ships while collecting the most that you can for yourself. So in Star Realms, there are 4 main factions: the blobs, the yellow market people, the red destroyer types, and then the blue, who are, I believe, maybe the diplomats of sorts. The cool thing about Star Realms is that the more cards you collect, the more they can chain off of each other based on the different effects available. So for instance, this green ram card, if played at the same time as another green card, gets you an additional 2 damage that you can deal. So just looking again at the card up close now, we have different icons, which is kind of the faction here, the cost to buy here, the damage that it deals here in red, like a targeting system, and a trash icon, which will get you this reward if you decide to destroy this card. Star Realms is super elegant and has a lot of replayability. I think what I like about it a lot, of course, is the thematic tie-in with just these icons, as simple as they are, give you that sort of sci-fi feel in addition to the borders and everything like that. Besides ships, there are also kind of these bases, as they're called, and some of them are designated as outposts, which means that they have to be targeted before any other ship or base on the field by your opponent. So they can be used as a strategic element as well as a type of beneficiary for you. And last but certainly not least is the game that my little cousins love to play every time they come over, Machi Koro, where every player is a mayor who's trying to build the best town that they can. It is a bit of a racing kind of game where you are trying to build establishments. Whoever can build all 6 or so, maybe with the expansion, is the winner. And how you go about doing so is by accruing money, by spending to make. And the cool icons in Machi Koro have to do with, well, not only the colors, but also these icons up here in the top that sort of tell you a little bit about the type of establishment or building that these things are. So I believe the gear is kind of like a technical or almost natural. There's another card with it similar called the Mine that has a gear symbol as well. There's the Flower Shop, which is green and has a little just marketplace. Here we go, a little bit closer up to the camera. That kind of illustrates, in addition to the artwork, what sort of store it is. And then of course there is the stadium, which has a sword because these purple cards can attack other players a bit more than other ones. Let's not leave out though the red, which is a food place that also requests other players to pay the owners when the die number is rolled. So as I kind of prefaced earlier, these icons are important in that they can chain together a little bit with some of the different establishments and hopefully go to show how simple and clean icons can be in a game. The main point that I want to hit is that all of these games have communicated some kind of information through the icons, whether it is the price of a building or how much damage a card can do. So please leave in the comments how some of your favorite games use icons and which ones I definitely missed. I hope you learned a little bit today. I know I always do with these weekly videos, and I'm gonna spontaneously say that next week is going to be a kind of follow-up about maybe just graphic design principles in general, and maybe what some cool things to consider when laying out your cards or boards would be. So there we go, straight from the horse's mouth, and I hope that's gonna be something that you can look forward to. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that we can stay up to date on future content like this. As always, I'm Ben. This has been another episode of the Board Game Blueprint, and together, let's build something great.